Well, greetings everybody and all you eager listeners to the greatest epic, the Mahabharata of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. So, we are currently on the Bhishma Vadha Parva, the bringing down of Bhishma, which marks the first 10 days of the war. So we're coming towards the end of it now, but still quite a bit to go. Um, Last time we finished off with Arjuna finding out that his son, Iravat, born of the Naga princess when he was on his travels, sowing his wild oats. But this son, Iravat, has been killed by Alambusha, the Rakshasa, on the side of the Kurus. So we're going to take it up from chapter 952, part 92 in Debroy's edition, corresponding to section 97 in Ganguli's. So before I begin, I'll do a Mangala Charana. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitangscha Helo Dhulita Kedaya Vishadaya Pronila Damodaya Samyak Shastra Vivadaya Rasadaya Chittarpito Madaya Shashwat Bhakti Vinodaya Samadaya Madhurya Maryadaya Shri Chaitanya Daya Nidhe Tavadaya Puyada Mandodaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Sanjaya said, on hearing that his son Iravat had been killed, Dhananjaya was overcome by great grief. He sighed like a serpent. O king, in that battle, he spoke these words to Vasudeva. There is no doubt that the immensely wise Vidura had foreseen all this earlier. The one with great intelligence had known about the terrible destruction of the Kurus and the Pandavas. It was for this reason that he tried to restrain Dhritarashtra, Lord of Men. O Madhusudana, many brave ones who cannot be slain have been killed by the Kauravas in this battle. We have also killed those on their side. O best of men, evil acts are being perpetrated for the sake of artha, gain, worldly gain. Shame on artha. For its sake, this slaughter of kin is being perpetrated. For one who possesses no wealth, death is preferable to this acquisition of wealth through the slaughter of relatives. O Krishna, what will we gain by killing these assembled relatives? Because of Duryodhana's crimes and those of Sakuni Sobala, and because of Karna's evil counsel, all the Kshatriyas are headed towards destruction. O Madhusudana, O mighty armed one, I now understand the king's wise act when he sought only half the kingdom from Suyodhana, or only 5 villages. But the evil-minded one did not grant it. On seeing so many brave Kshatriyas lying down on the ground, I censure myself severely. Shame on the livelihood of Kshatriyas. In this battle, the Kshatriyas will know me as incapable. O Madhusudana, I no longer derive pleasure from this battle with relatives. However, swiftly drive the horses towards the army of the sons of Dhritarashtra. With my two arms, I will cross the ocean that this battle is, one that is difficult to cross. Oh, Madhava, this is not the time to act like a eunuch. Thus addressed by Partha, Keshava, the destroyer of enemy heroes, urged those white horses, which were as fleet as the wind. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, a great roar arose amidst your soldiers. It was like the ocean at the time of the new moon or the full moon, agitated by the force of the wind. O great king, it was afternoon, and the battle commenced between Bhishma and the Pandavas with a roar like that of the clouds. O king, in that encounter, your sons surrounded Drona like the Vasus around Vasava and attacked Bhimasen. Bhishma, Shantanu's son, Kripa, supreme among Rakas, Bhagadatta, and Shusharma attacked Dhananjaya. Hardikya, and that is Salya. No, sorry, forget that. Hardikya and Ballika attacked Satyaki. The Hardikya is Salya. King Ambashta countered Abhimanyu. O great king, others who were left encountered other Maharathas. A terrible battle that was fearful in form commenced. O Lord of men, on seeing Bhimasena, your son blazed in that battle like oblations being poured into sacrificial fire. At that time, your sons covered Kaunteya with arrows. O great king, it was like the monsoon clouds pouring down on mountains. O Lord of men, he was thus enveloped by your sons in many ways and licked the corners of his mouth. The brave one was as proud as a tiger. O king, Bhima brought down Vyudorashka with an extremely sharp and broad-headed arrow, and he was deprived of his life. With another sharp, yellow and broad-headed arrow, he brought down Kundalina, like a lion bringing down a small animal. O venerable one, having approached your sons, he swiftly took up 7 extremely sharp and yellow arrows. Firm in wielding the bow, Bhimasena dispatched these arrows and brought down your sons, extremely great Maharathas, from their chariots. These were Anadrishti, Kundabheda, Vairata, Dirgalochana, Dirgabahu, Shubahu, and Kanakadwaja. O bull among the Bharata lineage, as they fell down, these brave ones were radiant, like blossoming and dappled trees that fall down during the spring. O Lord of the earth, your remaining sons fled. They thought that the immensely strong Bhimasena was like death himself. On seeing that the brave one had consumed your sons in the battle, Drona showered arrows on him from every direction, like rain pouring on a mountain. We beheld the manliness of Kunti's son, and it was extraordinary. Though he was restrained by Drona, yet he killed your sons, like a bull bears a downpour of rain from above. Bhima tolerated the shower of arrows released by Drona. O great king, Vrikodara performed a wonderful deed. While repulsing Drona, he killed your sons in that battle. Arjuna's elder brother played with your brave sons like an immensely strong tiger roaming amid deer, or like a wolf stationing itself amidst animals and driving those animals away. Thus did Vrikodara drive your sons away in battle. Gangeya, Bhagadatta, and Maharata Gautama, that's Kripa, countered the violent Pandava Arjuna. In that encounter, the Atirata repulsed all their weapons with his own weapons. He dispatched many brave soldiers on your side to the land of the dead. Abhimanyu used his arrows to deprive King Ambashtam, famous in the world and foremost among Rattas, of his chariot. Deprived of his chariot, he was about to be slain by Subhadra's illustrious son, O Lord of men. In shame, he quickly leapt down from his chariot. In the battle, he hurled his sword at Subhadra's great-souled son and ascended onto the chariot of the great-souled Hardikya. Subhadra's son was the destroyer of enemy heroes and was skilled in all the techniques of war. On seeing the sword descend towards him, he avoided it through his dexterous movements. O Lord of the earth, at this, loud sounds of applause were heard among all the soldiers. With Dristadimna at the forefront, others fought with your soldiers, and those on your side fought with the soldiers of the Pandus. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, there was a great battle between those on your side and theirs. They killed each other fiercely and performed extremely difficult deeds. O venerable one, in that battle the brave ones seized each other by the hair. They fought with their nails and teeth, and with their fists and thighs. They used their arms as palms and extremely sharp swords. They sought out each other's weakness and dispatched each other to Yama's abode. The father killed the son the father in that battle. Those men fought there, desperate and firm in their resolution. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, in that battle, beautiful bows with golden handles and extremely expensive ornaments were loosened from the hands of those who had been slain. There were sharp arrows with tufts made of pure gold and silver and washed in oil. They were as resplendent as snakes that had cast off their skin. There were swords decorated with gold, with handles made out of ivory, hilts. There were spears, javelins, swords, and spikes. All of these were decorated with gold and embellished with gold. They were bright as gold. O venerable one, heavy clubs were destroyed and fell down. There were maces, battle axes, and catapults. Colorful spears decorated with gold fell down. There were many types and forms of carpets and whisks and fans. There were many types of weapons dislodged from men who had fallen down. Though they had lost their lives, the Maharatas seemed to be alive. Their bodies were shattered through clubs. Their heads were smashed through maces. The men lay on the ground, crushed by elephants, horses, and chariots. O king, the earth was strewn everywhere with the bodies of slain horses, men, elephants, which looked like mountains and seemed to be beautiful. Spears, swords, arrows, javelins, scimitars, spikes, lances, darts, battle axes, clubs, catapults, and shatagnis fell down on the field of battle there. The earth was strewn with bodies that had been shattered by weapons. Some were silent, others made slight sounds. They were covered with blood. The earth was strewn with the bodies of those who had been killed by the enemy and looked beautiful. The arms of the spirited ones had leather guards and bracelets and were smeared with sandalwood paste. Their shattered thighs were like the trunks of elephants. The crowns on the heads were adorned with jewels. The heads bore earrings. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, the earth was resplendent with the bull-eyed ones who had fallen down. The earth was covered with armor and golden ornaments, drenched in blood. It looked as beautiful as a fire with calm flames. Ornaments were strewn around, and bows had fallen down. Bows and gold-tufted arrows were scattered in every direction. There were many shattered chariots, garlanded with nets of bells. Dead horses were lying around, with protruding tongues and drenched in blood. There were the floors of chariots, standards, quivers, and pennants. Large and white conch shells belonging to the brave ones were scattered around. Elephants were supine on the ground, their trunks severed, and the earth looked as beautiful as a lady adorned with many different kinds of ornaments. There were tuskers in great pain, pierced with lances. They repeatedly let out moans through their trunks. That field of battle was beautiful, as if with mobile mountains. There were carpets of many different hues and cushions for the elephants, dazzling goads with handles made of lapis lazuli fell down. Bells for the kings among elephants were scattered around everywhere. There were colorful seats and hides of ranku deer. There were colorful necklaces and golden harnesses for the elephants. There were many shattered implements and lances and campanas. There were shattered golden breastplates for the horses, soiled with dirt. The severed arms of the horse riders fell down with the bracelets still there. There were polished and sharp javelins and polished swords. Torn headdresses were scattered around there. There were colorful arrows in the shape of the half moon, decorated with gold. There were cushions for the horses and the hides of ranku deer. There were colorful and extremely expensive gems for the crests of those Indras among men. Umbrellas were scattered around, and whisks and fans. The faces were as beautiful as the lotus or the moon, and were still adorned with earrings. The brave ones were ornamented, and their beards were well trimmed. O great king, they were beautiful and radiant, with golden earrings. The earth looked like the sky, with its array of planets and stars. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, thus did those two large armies, yours and that of the enemy, clash against each other in that battle. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, they were exhausted, scattered, and routed. Night set in, and nothing could be seen in the field of battle. The soldiers, the Kurus and the Pandavas retreated. Terrible and fearful night set in, and the Kurus and the Pandavas withdrew from that extremely terrible encounter. With the time having come, they retreated to their own camps. Anyone want to go next? That'll be section 98. Ram's there. Want to have a go, Ram? I've got the book.
Uh, whereabouts are we?
On page 394. You got it? Chapter 953, part 96.
Sorry, it was 300 and what? Sorry.
394. That's the page and the chapter that starts on that page. And it starts off saying, Sanjaya said, O great king. In your own time.
Uh, I mean, I can read after. Someone
All
wants
right.
to continue now.
Well, if you're ready.
Not just yet.
Okay. All right. You can read after that. Well, all right. I'll read one more. So Sanjaya said, O great king. Then King Duryodhana, Shakuni, Sobala, your son Dushasana, and the invincible son of the Suta assembled and consulted each other. How could the sons of Pandu, together with their followers, be vanquished in battle? King Duryodhana spoke to all his advisors, addressing particularly the son of the Suta and immensely strong Sobala. I do not know the reason why Drona, Bhishma, Kripa, Salya, and Somadatta's son are unable to resist the Parthas in this battle. They are not being killed, but are demolishing my army. O Karna, in this battle, my army is becoming weaker and my weapons are being exhausted. I have been deceived by the Pandavas. They cannot be slain, even by the gods. I am full of doubt as to what I should do in this battle. O great king, the son or O great king, the son of the Suta then spoke to the king. O best of the Bharata lineage, do not grieve. I will do whatever is agreeable to you. Let Bhishma, Shantanu's son, withdraw from this great battle, O descendant of the Bharata lineage. When Gangeya has withdrawn from the battle and has cast aside his weapons, I will kill the Parthas, together with all the Shomakas, while Bhishma witnesses the battle. O king, this is the pledge I truly take. O king, Bhishma has always acted kindly towards the Pandavas. Bhishma is incapable of vanquishing those Maharatas in battle. Bhishma is proud of his prowess in battle and always loves an encounter. O father, footnote, the word used is tata, used not just for father, but anyone who is senior. In this context, father is singularly inappropriate, but we have stuck to it for the sake of consistency. End of footnote. Now I lost where it is. Why do I always do that? How can he defeat the Pandavas when he encounters them in battle? Therefore, you should quickly go to Bhishma's camp. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, you should request Bhishma to cast aside his weapons in battle. When Bhishma casts aside his weapons, you will see the Pandavas killed. O king, I will alone accomplish this in battle, together with their well-wishers and their relatives. Having been thus addressed by Karna, your son, Duryodhana, spoke these words to his brother, Dushasana. O Dushashan, let all those who will come with me be appropriately dressed. Quickly make all the arrangements. O king, having thus spoken, the lord of men then addressed Karna. O supreme among men, O scorcher of enemies, having requested Bhishma to withdraw from the battle, I will swiftly return and come before you. O tiger among men, you will then act in this battle. O Lord of Earth, without any delay, your son departed. He left with his brothers, like Satakratu with all the gods. His brother Dushasana quickly made his brother, who was a tiger among kings and with the valor of a tiger, ascend a horse. The king was adorned with armlets and bracelets and wore a crown on his head. O great king, Dhritarashtra's son was as resplendent as the great Indra. He was smeared with fragrant sandalwood paste. He looked like a bandi flower and had a golden complexion. He was clad in garments that had no dirt on them. The king proceeded with the sporting gait of a lion. He was as beautiful as an autumn sun with unblemished rays. That tiger among men departed for Bhishma's camp. He was followed by great archers who were famous in all the worlds as archers. His brothers, great archers, also followed him, like the 30 gods with Vasava. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, there were others astride horses, and still others astride elephants, others on chariots, the foremost of men, surrounding him in every direction. His well-wishers had taken up arms for the sake of protecting the Lord of the earth. They were with him, like the immortals with Shakra in heaven. The Mahabharata among the Kauravas was worshipped by the Kurus, O king. He went towards the illustrious Gangeya's abode. The king was followed and surrounded by his brothers in every direction. Occasionally he raised his right arm. It was as muscular as the trunk of an elephant and was capable of destroying all enemies. He raised that arm and accepted the worship of the kings who were in every direction, hands joined in salutation. He heard sweet words from the residents of many countries. The immensely illustrious one was praised by bards and minstrels. The Lord of all lords of the worlds honored all of them in return. Great-souled ones surrounded him in every direction with golden lamps, with fragrant oil as fuel. The king was surrounded by those auspicious and golden lamps. He was as beautiful as the moon, surrounded by the resplendent large planets. There were attendants with golden headdresses and with drums and sticks in their hands. They gently asked the people in every direction to make way. Having reached Bhishma's beautiful abode, the Lord of Men got down from his horse and approached Bhishma. He paid his respects to Bhishma and sat down on an excellent and golden seat. It was beautiful everywhere and was covered with a wonderful carpet. He joined his hands in salutation and spoke to Bhishma, his voice choking and his eyes full of tears. O destroyer of enemies, we sought your protection and resorted to this war. In the battle, we thought we possessed the enterprise to defeat the gods and the Asuras combined, together with Indra, not to speak of the brave sons of Pandu with their well-wishers and their relatives. O Lord, O Gangeya, therefore you should show your compassion towards me. Slay the brave sons of Pandu like the great Indra against the Danavas. O mighty armed one, O descendant of the Bharata lineage, you earlier said that you would kill the Somakas and Panchalas together with the Pandavas. Act accordingly and make your words come true. Kill the assembled Parthas and the great archers, the Somakas, O descendant of the Bharata lineage. Make those words come true, O Lord, O King, if you protect the Pandavas because of compassion, because of your hatred for me, or because of my misfortune, then I seek your permission to allow Karna, the ornament of any battle, to fight. He will defeat the Parthas with their well-wishers and their relatives in battle. Having said this, the king, your son, Duryodhana, did not say anything more to Bhishma, whose valor was terrible. Karna, you're unmuted. Does that mean you're going to read?
Well, it's because I'm lying down and listening and anticipate this moment so I can explain.
Okay, so now you're going to be on
no, but what I mean
99.
is I can't read because I have to
What?
stay lying down. Said, can you hear me? Okay.
Not very well, no. What are you saying?
I can't read because I'm not feeling very well. I have to stay lying down.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, then
Yeah.
Dina's there. I don't know if Balaram got his book ready or if he's not feeling like it. But Dina, if you're there, you want to take over?
If you just give me 2 minutes, I was just in the bathroom.
2 minutes?
No.
Just carry on and let the others catch up and be, you're on it. Let them all get ready.
All right, it's a short one. So
yeah.
So chapter 954. It'll only take a couple of minutes to read this one.
Okay.
Sanjaya said, "These words spoken by your son were like stakes, and Bhishma was pierced by them. He was overcome by great grief, but did not say anything unpleasant in reply. Overcome by grief and anger, he thought for a very long time. Wounded by these stakes, he sighed like a serpent. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, the supreme among those who know the worlds, and then raised his eyes. He seemed to burn the worlds with the gods, the Asuras and Gandharvas with his anger. However, he spoke these conciliatory words to your son. O Duryodhana, why are you piercing me with words that are like stakes? To the best of my strength, I have always sought to do that which brings you pleasure. Desiring your welfare, I am ready to give up my life in this battle. When the brave Pandava gratified Agni in Khandava, he defeated even Shakra in battle. That is proof, O mighty armed one. When the Gandharvas captured you, Pandu's energetic son freed you. That is proof. O Lord, at that time, all your brave brothers ran away, and so did Radheya, the son of Asuta. That is proof. In Virata's city, he singly attacked all of us together. That is proof. He was angry and defeated both me and Drona in battle. He robbed the garments of Karna, Drona's son, and the great Mahabharata Kripa. That is proof. Partha vanquished the Nivata Kavachas in battle, whom even Vasava found to be invincible in an encounter. That is proof. Who is capable of vanquishing Pandava, who prides himself in an encounter in battle? O Suryodhana, because of your delusion, you did not know what should be said and what should not be said. A man who is about to die thinks that all trees are made of gold. O Gandhari's son, in that fashion, you are looking at everything in a contrary way. You have yourself created this great enmity with the Pandavas and the Srinjayas. Fight with them in battle now, and show your manliness. O tiger among men, I will myself kill all the assembled Shomakas and the Panchalas, avoiding Shikandi. Slain by them in battle, I will go to Yama's abode, or I will kill them in battle and give you pleasure. Shikandi was earlier born as a girl in the king's abode. By virtue of a boon, she was born as a man. This is that lady Sikandi, O descendant of the Bharata lineage. I will not kill him, even if it means giving up my own life. Shikandi is the one whom the Creator made a lady earlier. O Gandhari son, sleep happily. I will fight a great battle tomorrow, one that will be spoken about as long as the earth exists. O Lord of men, having been thus addressed, your son departed. He paid respects to his elder by lowering his head and left for his own residence. Having returned, the king asked his attendants to leave. O destroyer of enemies, the destroyer of enemies quickly entered, and having entered, the king passed the night. That's Duryodhana, of course. So now, section C in Ganguly's edition. C, huh?
Sí, señor.
C, C.
Beautiful. Thank you, Madanji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sanjay said, then Bhishma, the son of Shantanu, went out with the troops, and he disposed his own troops in a mighty array called Savata Bhadra, a square formation for fighting. Kripa and Kritabhaman, and that mighty car warrior, Savya, and Shakuni, and the ruler of the Sindhus and the Sudakshina, the ruler of the Kambojas. These all, together with Bhishma and thy sons, O Bharat, took up their stations in the van of the whole army and in the very front of the Kurava array. Drona and Burishravas and Salya and Bhagadatta, O sire, clad in mail, took up their position in the right wing of that array. And Ashwathaman and Somadatta and those great car warriors, the two princes of Avanti, accompanied by a large force, protected the left wing. Duryodhana, O monarch, surrounded on all sides by the Trigatas, took up for encountering the Pandavas a position in the midst of that array. That foremost of car warriors, Alambush, and that mighty car warrior, Shrutayush, clad in mail, took up their position in the rear of the array, and therefore of the whole army. Having, O Bharat, on that occasion formed their array thus, thy warriors, clad in mail, looked like scorching fires. Then King Yudhisthira and that son of Pandu, Bhimashen, and the twin sons of Madri, Nakul and Shahadev, clad in mail, took up their position in the van of that array, and therefore at the very head of their troops. And Drishtajumna and Virata, and that mighty car warrior, Satyaki, these destroyers of hostile ranks, stood supported by a large force. And Sikandin and Vijaya, Arjuna, and the Rakshasha, Gotakach, and Cheki Tana, of mighty arms, and the valiant Kunti Bhoj stood for battle, surrounded by a large force. And that great bowman, Abhimanyu, and the mighty Drupad, and the 5 Kakeya brothers stood for battle, clad in mail. Having formed their mighty and invincible array thus, the Pandavas, endued with great courage in battle, stood for fight, clad in mail. Then the kings of thy array, O monarch, exerting themselves at their best, accompanied their forces, and placing Bhishma at their van, rushed against the Parthas in battle. Similarly, Pandavas also, O king, headed by Bhimashen, and desirous of victory in battle, proceeded for battling with Bhishma. With leonine roars and confused cries, blowing their conches, prakachas, and cow horns, beating their drums and cymbals and Pandavas in thousands, and uttering terrible shouts, the Pandavas advanced to battle. With the din of our drums and cymbals, and conches and smaller drums, with loud leonine roars and other kinds of shouts, ourselves also, replying to the cries of the foe, rushed against him with great impetuosity, inflamed with rage. Those sounds, mingling with one another, produced a tremendous uproar. The warriors then of the two armies, rushing at one another, began to strike. And in consequence of the din produced by that encounter, the earth seemed to tremble, and birds, uttering fierce cries, hovered in the air. The sun, radiant as he was when he had arisen, became dimmed, and fierce winds blew, indicating great terrors. Frightful jackals wandered, yelling terribly, O king, and foreboding an awful carnage at hand. The quarter seemed, O king, to be ablaze, and showers of dust fell from the blue. And a shower fell there of pieces of bones mixed with blood, and tears from the eyes of animals which were all weeping. And filled with anxiety, O king, these began to urinate and eject the contents of their stomachs. And the loud shouts of battle, O bull of Bharat's race, were rendered inaudible by the louder cries of Rakshasas and cannibals, and jackals and vultures, and crows and dogs, uttering diverse kinds of cries, began, O sire, to fall and swoop down on the field. And blazing meteors, striking against the sun's disk, fell with great celerity on the earth, foreboding great terrors. Then those two vast hosts belonging to the Pandavas and the Dhritarashtas, and in course of that awful encounter, shook in consequence of that tremendous uproar of conches and drums, like forests shaken by the tempest. And the noise made by the two armies, both of which abounded with kings, elephants, and steeds, and which encountered each other in evil hour, resembled the noise made by the oceans, tossed by the tempest. Section C1. Sanjay said, the noble Abhimanyu, of great energy, borne by his steeds of a tawny hue, rushed at the mighty host of Duryodhana, scattering his arrowy showers like the clouds pouring torrents of rain. O son of Kuru's race, thy warriors in that battle were unable to resist that slayer of foes. Subhadra's son, who, excited with wrath and possessed a wealth of arms, was then immersed in that inexhaustible ocean of Kaurava forces. Death-dealing shafts, O king, shot by him in that battle, dispatched many heroic Kshatriyas to the regions of the king of the departed spirits. Indeed, excited with wrath, Subhadra's son in that battle shot fierce and blazing arrows in profusion that resembled snakes of virulent poison or rods of death himself. And Falguni's son speedily split into fragments car warriors with their cars, steeds and their riders, and elephant warriors along with the huge animals they rode. And the rulers of the earth, filled with joy, applauded those mighty feats in battle and praised him also that achieved them. And the son of Subhadra, O Bharat, tossed those divisions of the Kaurava army like the tempest, tossing a heap of cotton on all sides in the welkin. Rooted by him, O Bharat, the troops failed to find a protector. Rooted by him, O best of men. Rooted by him, O Bharat, the troops failed to find a protector, like elephants sunk in a slough. Then, O best of men, having rooted all troops, Abhimanyu stood, O king, like a blazing fire, without a curling of smoke. Indeed, O king, thy warriors were incapable of bearing that slayer of foes, like insects impelled by fate, unable to bear a blazing fire. That mighty car warrior and great bowman, having struck all foes of the Pandavas, looked at the moment like Vasava himself, armed with the thunder. And his bow, the back of whose staff was decked with gold as it moved on every side, seemed, O king, like the lightning's flash as it spotted amid the clouds. And well-tempered and sharp shafts came from his bowstring in that battle like flights of bees, O king, from blossoming trees in the forest. And as the high-souled son of Subhadra careered on the field on his car, whose limbs were decked with gold, people were incapable of finding an opportunity for striking him. The confounding creeper and Drona, a mighty son of Drona, as also the ruler of the Sindhus, the great bowman moved on the field of battle with great activity and skill. And he consumed thy troops, O Bharat. I beheld his bow incessantly drawn to a circle, and resembling on that account the circular halo of light that is sometimes seen around the sun. Brave Kshatriyas, beholding him, endued with such activity, and scorching the foe thus, thought, in consequence of those feats, that the world contained two Falgunis. Indeed, O king, the vast host of the Bharats, afflicted by him, reeled hither and thither, like a woman drunk with wine. Rooting that large army, and causing many mighty car warriors to tremble, he gladdened his friends like Vashava, gladdening the celestials after vanquishing Maya. And while being rooted by him in that battle, thy troops uttered loud exclamations of woe that resembled the roar of the clouds. Hearing that awful wail, thy troops, O Bharat, that resembled the roar of the very sea at full tide when agitated by the winds. Duryodhana then, O king, addressed the son of Rishya Shringa and said, This Abhimanyu, singly, O thou of mighty arms, like a second Falguni, rooteth from rage my army, like Virata routing the celestial host. I do not see any other efficacious medicine for him in battle than thyself. O best of Rakshasas, that art well skilled in every science. Therefore, go speedily and slay the heroic son of Subhadra in battle. As regards ourselves, headed by Bhishma and Drona, we will slay Partha himself. Thus addressed, the mighty and valiant Rakshasa speedily went to battle at the command of thy son, uttering loud roars like the clouds themselves in the season of rains. And, in consequence of that loud noise, O king, the vast host of the Pandavas trembled throughout like the ocean when agitated by the wind. And many combatants, O king, terrified by those roars, giving up dear life, fell prostrate on the earth. Filled with joy, and taking up his bow and arrow, and fixed on the string, and apparently dancing on the terrace of his car, that Rakshasa proceeded against Abhimanyu himself. Then the angry Rakshasa, having in that battle got Arjuna's son within reach, began to rout his ranks, even those that stood not far from him. Indeed, the Rakshasa rushed in battle against the mighty Pandava host, which he began to slaughter, like Vala, rushing against the celestial host. Attacked in battle by that Rakshasa of terrible mien, the slaughter was very great, O sire. That took place amongst the troops. Exhibiting his prowess, the Rakshasa began to rout that vast force of the Pandavas with thousands of arrows. Thus slaughtered by that Rakshasa of terrible visage, the Pandava army fled away from excess of fear. Grinding the army like an elephant, grinding lotus stalks, the mighty Rakshasa then rushed in battle against the sons of Draupadi. Then those great bowmen, accomplished in fighting, the sons of Draupadi, rushed towards the Rakshasa in battle like the 5 planets rushing against the sun. The best of Rakshasas then was afflicted by those brothers endued with great energy, like the moon afflicted by the 5 planets of the awful occasion of the dissolution of the world. Then the mighty Prativindya quickly pierced the Rakshasa with whetted shafts, sharp as battle axes and furnished with points capable of penetrating every armor. Thereupon that foremost of Rakshasas, with his armor pierced through, looked like a mass of clouds penetrated by the rays of the sun. Pierced with these shafts, furnished with golden wings, Rishyashringa's son, O king, looked resplendent like a mountain with blazing crests. Then those 5 brothers, in that great battle, pierced that foremost of Rakshasas with many whetted shafts of golden wings. Pierced with those terrible shafts, resembling angry snakes, Alambusha, O king, became inflamed with rage like the king of the serpents himself. Deeply pierced, O king, with only a few moments, O sire, by those great car warriors, the Rakshasa, much afflicted, remained senseless for a long while. Regaining his consciousness then, and swelling through rage to twice his dimensions, he cut off their arrows and standards and bows. And as if smiling, the while he struck each of them with 5 arrows. Then that mighty Rakshasa and great car warrior, Alambusha, excited with wrath, and as if dancing on the terrace of his car, quickly slew the steeds and then the charioteers of those 5 illustrious adversaries of his. And burning with rage, he once more pierced them with sharp arrows of diverse shades by hundreds and thousands. Then that wanderer of the night, the Rakshasa Alambusha, having deprived those great bowmen of their cars, rushed impetuously at them, wishing to dispatch them to Yama's abode. Beholding them thus, afflicted in battle by that wicked-souled Rakshasa, the son of Arjuna rushed at him. Then the battle that took place between him and the cannibal resembled that between Virata and Vashava. And the mighty car warriors of that army, as also of the Pandavas, all became spectators of that engagement. Encountering each other in fierce battle, blazing with wrath, endued with great might, and with eyes red in rage, each beheld the other in that battle to resemble the Yuga fire. And that engagement between them became fierce and awful, like that between Sakra and Samvara in days of old in the battle between the gods and the Asuras. Wow, this is going to be some battle. Come on, let's say. Aha. Section C11. Dhritarashtra said, How, O Sanjaya, did Alambusha resist the combat, the heroic son of Arjuna, smiting many of our mighty Ka warriors in battle? And how also did that slayer of hostile heroes, the son of Subhadra, fight with Risha Shringa's son? Just change, zoom a little bit. Okay. Tell me all this in detail, exactly as it happened in the fight. What also did Bhim, that foremost of Ka warriors, and the Rakshasa, Gotakuch, and Nakul and Sahadev, and the mighty Ka warrior Satyaki and Dhananjaya, do with my troops in battle? Tell me all this truly, O Sanjaya, for thou art skilled in narration. Sanjaya said, I will presently describe to thee, O sire, the awful battle that took place between that foremost of Rakshasas and the son of Subhadra. I will also describe to thee the prowess that Arjuna put forth in battle, and Bhimshena, the son of Pandu and Nakul and Sahadev, as also the warriors of thy army, headed by Bhishma and Drona, all of whom fiercely achieved wonderful feats of diverse kinds. Alambusha, uttering loud shouts and repeatedly roaring at Abhimanyu, rushed impetuously against that mighty Ka warrior in battle, saying, Wait! Wait! Abhimanyu also, repeatedly roaring like a lion, rushed at great force at great force at that mighty bowman, the son of Risha Shringa, who was also an implacable foe at the foremost sire. Soon then, these two foremost of Ka warriors, Man and Rakshasa, on their cars, encountered each other like a god and Danava. That best of Rakshasa were endued with powers of illusion, while Falguni's son was acquainted with celestial weapons. Then Abhimanyu, O king, pierced Rishashringa's son in that battle with 3 sharp shafts, and once more with 5. Alambusha, also excited with wrath, speedily pierced Abhimanyu in the chest with 9 shafts, like a guide piercing elephant with hooks. Then, O Bharat, that wanderer of night, endued with great activity, afflicted Arjuna's son in that combat with 1,000 arrows. Then Abhimanyu, excited with rage, pierced that prince of the Rakshasas in his wide chest with 9 straight shafts of great sharpness. Piercing through his body, these penetrated into his very vitals. And that best of Rakshasas, his limbs mangled by them, looked beautiful like a mountain, overgrown with flowering kingsukas. Doesn't describe what kingsukas are, right? I think that's a kind of flower.
It's a bright red flower.
Ah, yeah, exactly. Bearing those shafts of golden wings on his body, that mighty prince of Rakshasas looked radiant like a mountain on fire. Then the vindicative son of Risha Shringa, inflamed with wrath, covered Abhimanyu, who was equal unto Mahendra himself, with clouds of winged arrows. Those sharp shafts, resembling the rods of Yama himself, shot by him, pierced Abhimanyu through, and entered the earth. And similarly, the gold-decked arrows shot by Arjuna's son, piercing Alambusha through, entered the earth. The son of Subhadra then, in that battle with his straight shafts obliged the Rakshasa to turn his back upon the field, like Sakra repulsing Maya in days of old. That scorcher of foes, the Rakshasa then, thus repulsed and struck repeatedly by his adversary, exhibited his great powers of illusion by causing a thick darkness to set in. Then all the combatants there, O king, were covered in by that darkness. Neither could Abhimanyu be seen, nor could friends be distinguished from foes in that battle. Abhimanyu, however, beholding that thick, awful gloom, invoked into existence, O son of Kuru's race, the blazing solar weapon. Thereupon, O king, the universe once more became visible, and thus he neutralized the illusion of that wicked Rakshasa. Then that prince of men, excited with wrath and endued with great energy, covered that foremost of Rakshasa in that battle with many straight shafts. Diverse and other kinds of illusion were conjured up by that Rakshasa. Conversant with all weapons, the son of Falguni, however, neutralized them all. The Rakshasa then, his illusions all destroyed, and himself struck with shafts, abandoned his car even there, and fled away in great fear. After that Rakshasa, addicted to unfair fight, had thus been vanquished, the son of Arjuna began to grind thy troops in battle, like a juice-blind prince of wild elephants, agitating a lake overgrown with lotus. Then Bhishma, the son of Santanu, beholding his troops routed, covered Subhadra's son with a thick shower of arrows. Then many mighty car warriors of the Dhritarashtra army, standing in a ring around that single hero, began to strike him forcibly with their shafts. That hero then, who resembled his sire in prowess, and who was equal to Vasudeva in valour and might, that foremost of all wielders of weapons, achieved diverse feats in that battle, and were worthy of both his sire and his maternal uncle. Then the heroic Dhananjaya, excited with wrath and desirous of rescuing his son, arrived at that spot where the latter was slaughtering thy troops as he came along. And similarly, O king, sire Devavrata in that battle approached Partha like Rahu approaching the sun. Then thy sons, O monarch, supported by cars, elephants, and steeds, surrounded Bhishma in that battle and protected him from every side. And so also the Pandavas, O king, clad in mail, surrounding Dhananjaya, engaged in fierce battle, O bull of Bharat's race. Then Saradwat's son, Kripa, O king, pierced Arjuna, who was staying in front of Bhishma, with 25 shafts. Thereupon, like a tiger attacking an elephant, Satyaki, approaching Kripa, pierced him with many whetted shafts from desire of doing what was agreeable to the Pandavas. Gautama, in return, excited with wrath, quickly pierced him of Madhu's race in the chest with 9 arrows winged with the feathers of the kanka bird. Sini's grandson also, excited with wrath, and forcibly drawing his bow, quickly sped at him an arrow capable of taking his life. The fiery son of Drona, however, excited with wrath, cut in twain the arrow as it coursed impetuously towards Kripa, resembling Indra's bolt in effulgence. Thereupon, that foremost of Car warriors, Sini's grandson, abandoning Gautama, rushed in battle towards Drona's son like Rahu in the firmament against the moon. Drona's son, however, O Bharat, cut Satyaki's bow in twain. After his bow had thus been cut off, the former began to strike the latter with his shafts. Satyaki then, taking up another bow capable of bearing a great strain and slaughtering the foe, struck Drona's son, O king, in the chest and arms with 6 shafts. Pierced therewith, and feeling great pain, for a moment he was deprived of his senses. And he sat down on the terrace of his car, catching hold of his flagstaff. Regaining his consciousness then, the valiant son of Drona, excited with rage, afflicted him of Vrishni's race in that battle with one long shaft. That shaft, piercing Sini's grandson through, entered the earth like a vigorous young snake, entering its hole in the season of spring. And with another broad-headed arrow, Drona's son in that battle cut off that excellent standard of Satyaki. And having achieved this feat, he uttered a leonine roar, and once more, O Bharat, he covered his adversary with a shower of fierce shafts like the clouds, O king, covering the sun after summer is past. Satyaki also, O monarch, baffling that houri shower, soon covered the son of Drona with diverse showers of arrows, that slayer of hostile foes, the grandson of Sini, freed from the arrowy shower, like the sun from the clouds, began to scorch the son of Drona with his energy. Swelling with rage, the mighty Satyaki once more covered his foe with 1,000 arrows and uttered a loud shout. Beholding his son, then thus afflicted like the moon by Rahu, the valiant son of Bharadwaj rushed towards the grandson of Sini, desirous, O king, of rescuing his son who was afflicted by the Vrishni hero, Drona. In that great battle, pierced the latter with a shaft of exceeding sharpness. Satyaki then, abandoning the mighty car warrior, Ashwatthama, pierced Drona himself in that battle with 20 arrows of exceeding sharpness. Soon after, that scorcher of foes and mighty car warrior, Kunti's son, of immeasurable soul, excited with wrath, rushed in that battle against Drona. Then Drona and Partha encountered each other in fierce combat, like the planets Buddha and Sakra, O king, in the firmament. Buddha is Mercury, and Sukra is Venus. End of footnote. So would anybody else like to take the reins, as it were?
Could do. I wonder if Ram wants to have a go.
Yeah.
Not opposed to it, but I don't.
No pressure. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
I mean, another time maybe.
All right. Okay. Chapter 958, part 98, corresponding to section 103 in Gangulis. Dhritarashtra asked, O Sanjaya, how did those brave and great archers, Drona and Pandava Dhananjaya, encounter each other in that battle? Tell me, Pandava was always the beloved of Bharadwaja's intelligent son. O Sanjaya, in any encounter, the preceptor was always the beloved of Partha. Those two great Rathas are proud in battle and are as fierce as lions. How did Dhananjaya and Bharadwaja's son clash against each other in that encounter? Sanjaya replied, In a battle, Drona does not know Partha as someone who is dear to himself. Placing the dharma of Kshatriyas at the forefront, Partha does not acknowledge a preceptor in an encounter. O king, Kshatriyas do not avoid each other in an encounter. Without any fear, they fight with their fathers and their brothers. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, in that battle, Partha pierced Drona with 3 arrows, but he paid no heed to the arrows that had been released from Partha's bow in that battle. In that battle, Partha again covered him with a shower of arrows, and he blazed in anger like a conflagration in a deserted forest. In that battle, Drona released straight-tufted arrows towards Arjuna. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, O Indra among kings, but those were speedily countered. O king, King Duryodhana instructed Shusharma to protect Drona's flank in that battle. The angry king of Trigarta drew his bow and, in that battle, enveloped Partha with arrows with iron heads. O king, the arrows released by both of them. Footnote, Drona and Shusharma, end of footnote, were resplendent in the sky. O great king, they looked like swans in the autumn sky. O Lord, those dazzling arrows reached Kaunteya and penetrated like birds entering a tree that is lowered from the burden of succulent fruit. Arjuna, supreme among Ratas, roared in that battle. In that encounter, he pierced the king of Trigarta with his sons with arrows. Partha pierced them like the fire at the destruction of the Yuga. But having made up their minds to die, they did not retreat from the encounter with Partha. They showered arrows towards Pandava's chariot. O Indra among kings, Pandava countered that shower of arrows with his own shower of arrows. He was like a mountain receiving a downpour of rain. We witnessed the extraordinary dexterity of Bibatsu's hands. The brave one countered many showers of arrows that were difficult to withstand, like the wind scattering masses of clouds. The gods and the Danavas were delighted with Partha's deeds. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, Partha angrily advanced against Trigarta in battle. O great king, he released the Vayavya weapon against the head of their army. A turbulent wind arose in the sky. It broke down masses of trees and killed the soldiers. Drona beheld that extremely terrible Vayavya weapon. O great king, he released the extremely terrible weapon known as Shaila. Footnote. As an adjective, Shaila means something that is made out of stone. End of footnote. When or mountain, because Arjuna had a wind weapon, so a wind weapon is countered by a mountain weapon. When Drona released this weapon in the great battle, the wind was pacified and the directions became placid. But Pandu's brave son made the Trigartas, roaming around on their chariots, dispirited in that battle. They lost their valor and retreated. King Duryodhana, Kripa, supreme among Ratas, Ashwatthama, Shalya, Sudakshina from Cambodia, Vinda and Anuvinda from Avanti, and Ballika and the army of the Vallikas surrounded Partha from every direction with great number of chariots. In a similar way, Bhagadatta and the immensely strong Shrutayu surrounded Bhima from every direction with a large army of elephants. O Lord of the earth, Bhurishrava, Shala, and Sobala quickly countered Madri's sons with many colorful arrows. With all the sons of Dhritarashtra and their soldiers, Bhishma attacked Yudhishthira and surrounded him from every direction. On seeing that army of elephants descend, the brave Partha, Vrikodara, licked the corners of his mouth like a king of deer in the forest. The best of Rattas grasped his club in the great battle. He swiftly got down from his chariot and terrified your soldiers. On seeing him with the club in his hand, the elephant riders made endeavors to surround Bhimasena from every side in that battle, but Pandava penetrated the midst of the elephants and began to roam around. He was like the sun in the middle of a large mass of clouds. The bull of the Pandava lineage slew that army of elephants with his club. He was like the wind, scattering a large mass of clouds. Those tuskers were slaughtered by the powerful Bhimasena. They shrieked in that battle, roaring like clouds. There were many wounds on his body, resulting from the tusks of the elephants. Partha dazzled in the forefront of that battle like a flowering Ashoka tree. He seized some elephants by their trunks and uprooted their tusks. He used those tusks to strike the elephants on their temples. He brought them down in that battle like Yama with the staff in his hand. The club was covered with blood and his body was spattered with fat and marrow. With blood on his armlets, it seemed to be like Rudra. O king, thus slaughtered and the remaining mighty elephants fled in all directions, crushing their own soldiers in the process. O bull among the Bharata lineage, the gigantic elephants were driven away in all directions. All of Duryodhana's soldiers retreated from the field of battle. Chapter 959 of the Mahabharata, chapter 99 of Bhishma Vata. Sanjaya said, O great king, it was midday and the encounter raged. There was a terrible battle, destructive of people, between Bhishma and the Somakas. Gangeya, best among Rattas, pierced the Pandava soldiers with hundreds and thousands of sharp arrows. Your father, Devavrata, crushed those soldiers like a herd of cattle crushing reaped paddy. Dristadumna, Sikandi, Virata, and Drupada attacked Bhishma in that battle and struck the Mahabharata with arrows. He pierced Dristadumna and Virata with 3 arrows each. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, he then dispatched an iron arrow towards Virata. O king, pierced by Bhishma, the destroyer of enemies, in that battle, those great archers became as angry as serpents that have been trodden upon. Sikandi pierced the grandfather of the Bharatas, but the undecaying one thought him to be a woman and did not strike him back. In that battle, Dristadumna was overcome with rage, like a flaming fire. He used 3 arrows to pierce the grandfather in the arms and the chest. Drupada pierced Bhishma with 25 arrows, Virata with 10 arrows, and Sikandi with 25. O great king, the great-souled Bhishma was pierced in that battle and was as beautiful as a blossoming red Ashoka tree in the spring. Gangeya pierced them back with 3 arrows that travelled straight. O venerable one, he severed Virata's bow with a broad-headed arrow. In that forefront of that battle, he took up another bow and pierced Bhishma with 5 sharp arrows and his charioteer with 3. O great king, Bhima, Draupadi's 5 sons, the 5 brothers from Kekaya, and Satvaka Satyaki, desiring Yudhishthira's welfare, attacked Gangeya. They wished to protect Panchala Dristadumna in that battle. O Lord of men, all those on your side raised their weapons to protect Bhishma and attacked the Pandu soldiers with their own soldiers. There was an extremely terrible battle between those on your side and those on the other side. It involved men, horses, chariots, and elephants, and extended Yama's kingdom. Charioteers clashed with charioteers and sent them to Yama's abode. Others attacked men, elephant riders, and horse riders. They used straight-tufted arrows to dispatch each other to the hereafter. O Lord of Earth, many terrible weapons were used there. Chariots lost their riders, rutters and chariots, and in that battle were dragged away in different directions. O King, in that battle they crushed many men and horses. They seemed to be like the wind, or like the cities of the Gandharvas. Energetic and armored rutters were bereft of their chariots. They were adorned with earrings and headdresses, and all of them were ornamented with golden armlets. They were the equals of the sons of the gods in beauty and bravery, and Shakra's equal in fighting. They surpassed Vaishravana in prosperity and Brihaspati in wisdom. O Lord of the world, the brave ones who were there were the lords of all the worlds. They were seen to be driven away like ordinary men. O best of men, the tuskers were bereft of the best of riders. They ran around and fell down, shrieking loudly and crushing their own ranks. O venerable one, their armor, whisks, umbrellas, and standards were strewn around, as were the housings, bells, and lances. Devastated, they were seen to run away in the 10 directions. They were like mountains or clouds that roared like rain clouds. O Lord of the earth, some elephant riders were deprived of their elephants, both on your side and on theirs. They were seen to run away in that encounter. There were horses that had come from many countries and were decorated with gold. They were as fast as the wind and were there in hundreds and thousands. With the horses slain, horse riders grasped swords in every direction. They were seen to run away or chase others away in that encounter. In that great battle, elephants clashed with elephants that were running away and swiftly crushed infantry and steeds. O King, in that battle, elephants crushed chariots, and chariots crushed against infantry and horses. O King, clashed. O King, in that battle, horses crushed men in the course of the encounter. O King, in this fashion, they crushed each other in diverse ways. That terrible battle raged, and it gave rise to great fear. A fearful river began to flow with blood as its waves. It was choked with masses of bones, and the hair was like moss and weeds. Chariots were the lakes, and arrows were the currents, with horses as the unassailable fish. It was covered with heads as pebbles. It was infested with elephants as crocodiles. Armor and headdresses constituted the foam. Bows were islands, and swords were turtles. Flags and pennants were trees along the banks. Men were the banks that the river destroyed. It was infested with large numbers of predatory creatures, and it extended Yama's kingdom. O King, in that great battle, many brave Kshatriyas gave up their fear. They sought to cross the river on boats made out of horses, elephants, and chariots. In that battle, this river conveyed all the cowards who had become overcome by lassitude, just as Vaitarini conveys all those who are dead to the capital of the king of the dead. The Kshatriyas present witnessed a great carnage. They exclaimed, "It is because of Duryodhana's crimes that the Kauravas are headed towards destruction. The sons of Pandu possess many qualities. Why did Dhritarashtra's sons, the Lord of Men, hate them? He is evil in his soul. He has been overcome by avarice." O descendant of the Bharata lineage, many words of this kind were heard there. They were full of praise for the Pandavas and were extremely terrible about your sons. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, on hearing these words spoken by all the warriors, your son Duryodhana, who had caused offense to all the worlds, spoke these words to Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and Salya. "Fight with pride! What is the reason for delay?" O king, the extremely terrible battle between the Kurus and the Pandavas raged again in consequence of the gambling with dice. O Vichitravirya's son, you paid no attention when the great-souled ones tried to restrain you then. Behold the fruits of that, O king, O lord of the earth. The sons of Pandu, their soldiers, their followers, and the Kauravas do not desire to protect their lives in this battle. That is the reason there is this terrible destruction of people. O tiger among men, O king, it has been caused by destiny and your evil policy. Chapter 960. Sanjaya said, "O tiger among men, there were kings who were following Shusharma's lead, and Arjuna used sharp arrows to dispatch them to the abode of the king of the dead. In that battle, Shusharma pierced Partha with arrows. He again pierced Vasudeva with 70 and Partha with 9. The Mahabharata, who was Shakra's son, repulsed them with his own shower of arrows. In that battle, he dispatched Shusharma's warriors to Yama's abode. They were slain by Partha like the fire at the destruction of a yuga. O king, those Maharathas were overcome with fear and fled from the field of battle. O venerable one, some abandoned their horses, others gave up their chariots, and still others discarded their elephants and fled in the 10 directions. Others fled from the field of battle with their horses, elephants, and chariots. O Lord of the earth, they ran away with great speed. In that great battle, foot soldiers threw away their weapons. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, as they ran away, they ignored everything else. They were repeatedly restrained by Shusharma of the Trigartas and by other chiefs among the kings, but they did not stay in that battle. On seeing that his army was being routed, your son, Duryodhana, placed Bhishma at the forefront of the battle, ahead of all the soldiers. Using the best of his great endeavor, he attacked Dhananjaya for the sake of protecting the life of the Lord of Trigarta. He alone remained stationed in the battle, together with all his brothers, and showered many different kinds of arrows. The remaining men ran away. O king, the Pandavas were armored. For Falguna's sake, they used their best endeavors to go to the spot where Bhishma was. They knew that the wielder of Gandiva was invincible, but cries of lamentation had arisen in all directions from the spot where Bhishma was. In that encounter, the brave one with the palm tree on his standard used straight-tufted arrows to shroud the army of the Pandavas. All of the Kurus and the Pandavas seemed to be one single mass. O great king, they fought, and the sun reached midday. Satyaki pierced Kritavarma with 5 iron arrows. The brave one remained stationed in the battle, releasing thousands of arrows. King Drupada pierced Drona with sharp arrows. He again pierced him with 70 arrows and his charioteer with 7. Bhimasena pierced his grandfather, King Vallika, and emitted a loud roar like a tiger in the forest. Arjuna's son pierced Chitrasena with many fast arrows. Chitrasena was severely pierced in the chest with 3 arrows. These 2 great ones among men encountered each other in the battle and were radiant. O king, they were like the extremely terrible Buddha and Shanaishchara in the sky. Subhadra's son, the destroyer of enemy heroes, roared powerfully after having slain his horses with his 4 arrows and his charioteer with 9. O Lord of the earth, with his horses slain, the Mahabharata swiftly descended from his chariot and climbed onto Durmukha's chariot. Drona pierced Drupada with straight tufted arrows, and the valorous one also swiftly pierced his charioteer. At the head of his soldiers, King Drupada was thus oppressed. Remembering his earlier hostility, he retreated on swift horses. In an instant, Bhimasena deprived King Bandika of his horses, charioteer, and chariot, while all the soldiers looked on. O great king, Ballika, supreme among men, was overcome by panic and confronted a great danger. He swiftly climbed onto Maharata Lakshman's chariot. Satyaki repulsed Maharata Kritavarma. O king, he attacked the grandfather with many arrows. He pierced Bharata with 60 sharp arrows that were tufted with hair and seemed to be dancing around on his chariot, brandishing his large bow. The grandfather hurled a giant and iron javelin towards him. It was decorated with gold and was extremely swift. It was as beautiful as a maiden of the serpents. On seeing it suddenly descend, extremely energetic like death, the immensely famous Varshneya destroyed it with his dexterity. That extremely terrible javelin could not touch Varshneya. It fell down on the face of the ground like a giant meteor that has lost its brilliance. O king, at this Varshneya forcefully grasped and hurled a javelin towards the grandfather's chariot. It was terrible to behold. In that great battle, it was hurled through the force of Varshneya's arms. It advanced with great force, like a fatal knight advancing towards a man. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, on seeing it suddenly descend, Gangeya used 2 extremely sharp Shurapra arrows to slice it into 2 so that it fell down on the ground. Having severed the javelin, he angrily struck Satyaki on the chest with 9 arrows, and the destroyer of enemies smiled as he did this. O Pandu's elder brother, the Pandavas, surrounded by Bhishma in that battle, with their chariots, elephants, and horses, so that Madhava, footnote, meaning Satyaki, end of footnote, might be rescued. A tumultuous battle commenced, and it made the body hair stand up. In that encounter, both the Pandavas and the Kurus desired victory. So, anyone want to have a go?
No one's
No.
rushing. So
No.
is that
Shall I? Yeah, where are we? You just clue me in again.
Okay.
Sorry, hold on. Let me get the speaker on. Yeah.
I think it's going to be C7, 107.
What's that in your Roman?
Oh no, wait a minute. It's 106. CVI.
Yes, a few ahead. Yes, CV1. Okay. Excellent. Jai-ho. Sanjaya said, beholding Bhishma, excited with wrath in battle, surrounded on all sides by the Pandavas like the sun in the firmament, O king, by the clouds at the end of the summer, Duryodhana, O monarch, addressed Dushasana, saying, this heroic and great bowman Bhishma, this slayer of heroes, hath, O bull of Bharat's race, been surrounded on all sides by the brave Pandavas. It is thy duty, O hero, to protect that illustrious one. Protected by us in battle, our grandsire, Bhishma, will slay all the Panchalas along with the Pandavas. The protection of Bhishma, therefore, I think, is our greatest duty, for this great bowman of his arrows, vows, Bhishma, is our protector in return. Therefore, surrounding the grandsire with all our troops, do thou protect him, who always achieveth the most difficult feats in battle. Thus addressed by Duryodhana, thy son Dushasana, surrounding Bhishma with a large force on all sides, took up his position. Then Suvala's son Sakuni, with hundreds and thousands of horsemen, having bright spears and swords and lances in hand, and who formed a proud, well-dressed and strong-bearing standards, and who were mingled with excellent foot soldiers that were all well-trained and skilled in battle, began to check Nakula and Sahadev. And Yudhisthira, the son of Pandu, surrounding those foremost of men on all sides. Then King Duryodhana dispatched 10,000 of a brave horsemen for resisting the Pandavas. When these rushed like so many Garudas towards the enemy with great impetuosity, the earth, O king, struck with their horse hooves, trembled and uttered a loud noise. And the loud clatter of their hooves was heard resembling the noise made by a large forest of bamboos in conflagration on a mountain. And as these dashed over the field, there rose a cloud of dust, which, rising to the welkin, shrouded the very sun. And in consequence of those impetuous steeds, the Pandava army was agitated like a large lake with a flight of swans suddenly alighting on its bosom. And in consequence of their neighing, nothing else could be heard there. Then, O King Yudhisthira, and the two sons of Pandu by Madri quickly checked the charge of those horsemen in battle, like the continent, O king, bearing the force at full tide of the surging sea, swollen with the waters of the rainy season. Then there rose those 3 car warriors, O monarch, with their straight shafts cut off the heads of those horse riders. Slain by those strong bowmen, they fell down, O king, on earth, like mighty elephants tumbling into a mountain caves, slain by huge compeers. Indeed, coursing all over the field, those warriors of the Pandavas' army cut off the heads of those cavalry soldiers with sharp, bearded darts and straight shafts. Struck with swords, those horsemen, O bull of Bharat's race, suffered their heads to drop like tall trees, dropping their fruits. All over the field, O king, steeds along with their riders were seen fallen or falling, deprived of life. And while being thus slaughtered, the steeds, affected with panic, fled away like smaller animals, desirous of saving their lives at the sight of a lion. And the Pandavas, O king, having vanquished their foes in that great battle, blew their conches and beat their drums. Then Duryodhana, filled with grief on seeing his troops vanquished, addressed the ruler of the Madras, O chief of the Bharats, and said, There the eldest son of Pandu, accompanied by the twins in battle. In thy very sight, O thou of mighty arms, rooteth our troops. O Lord, O mighty armed one, resist him like the continent resisting the ocean. Thou art exceedingly well known, as possessed of might and prowess that are irresistible. Hearing these words of thy son, the valiant Salya proceeded with a large body of cars to the spot where Yudhisthira was. Thereupon, the son of Pandu began to resist in battle that large host of Salya, rushing impetuously towards him with the force of a mighty wave. That mighty car warrior, King Yudhisthira, the just, in that battle, quickly pierced the ruler of Madras in the center of the chest with 10 shafts. And Nakul and Sahadev struck him with 7 straight shafts. The ruler of the Madras then struck at each of them with 3 arrows, and once more he pierced Yudhisthira with 60 sharp-pointed arrows. And excited with wrath, he struck each of the sons of Madri also with 2 shafts. Then that vanquisher of foes, the mighty arm beam, beholding the king in that great battle, staying within the reach of Salya's car, as if within the very jaws of death, quickly proceeded to Yudhisthira's side. Then, when the sun, having passed the meridian, was sinking, there commenced a fierce and terrible battle on that part of the field. Next section, CV11. Sanjaya said, how long is this one? Oh, it's a long one. Maybe we should rest it there.
I think that may be a good idea because it's a long one.
Yeah.
And it's one.
I think I'm a bit tired as well.
It would be a good one to start with.
Yeah, we've done 2 hours. It was brilliant recitations, everybody, both of you, fantastic. It was. Well, I was getting. It was. I want to get to the end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like relentless, you know. And God, it just goes on and on and on and on, doesn't it? Goodness gracious.
Okay, we might as well stop recording then.
Okay. Oh, haven't I stopped? Sorry.
Don't think so.
Mm.